Japan's Okinoshima Island, an ancient religious site where women are banned, has been declared a World Heritage Site by the United Nations cultural body UNESCO, and can even receive funding from the United Nations organization. The sacred island in southwest Japan bans women and requires male visitors to strip naked before going ashore. There should be no interference in temple traditions, says Rajinikanth. Actor Rajinikanth on Saturday said, "When you talk about a temple, every temple has its time-honored rituals, besides traditions being followed for a long time. My humble opinion is that no one should interfere in that," he told reporters in Chennai. An example of real, lived devotion, breaking fear patterns and demonstrating the power of real bhakti and surrender beyond norms. Devotees brave boiling oil with the blessings of the deity to come out unharmed and with a strengthened nervous system. Vivek Agnihotri and Rajiv Malhotra in conversation about the nature of spiritual practice, media, and legislation, as there is often a suspicious gap between the motives of detractors and real devotees, and who shows up on the ground at protests often have no stake whatsoever in the issues.
The mastermind stays behind.
Yes.
And puts a mohalla ka gunda outside.
Yeah.
So everybody thinks this gunda is doing something like this.
Right.
But actually, who's behind that?
Yeah, she's the mastermind behind
It's
it.
a very clever game. Yeah. I understood this game.
Yeah.
Dr. Subramania Swamy speaks on the challenges of incorporating all belief systems into a tolerant Hindu society of 1 billion Hindus in India.
If you are a Islam-ruled country, then no other religion should be given any place. That you can see in Saudi Arabia. You want to build a temple, you can't. You can't celebrate Diwali in Saudi Arabia. Even in your own house, you can't do Satyanarayan Puja. And you cannot have picture of Ramchandraji in your pocket. Of course, this new prince who has taken over, maybe things will improve because now he is at least permitted women to drive cars. So that religion has to be now accommodated with us.
The news item The Columbus Dispatch reports Hinduism is the third most practiced religion in Columbus, United States, being home to 15 Hindu temples.
It's really mind-boggling because Hinduism is so inclusive of everything. My family is Christian. I was a Methodist growing up.
For me, Hinduism, or Sanatana Hindu Dharma, is the essence of Hinduism, is the realization and the experience that you and I and all are oneness.
I think in Christianity you find that a lot of it is blind faith, or you just have to simply take it because somebody told you. But here you can come in and do the rituals, you can stand in front of a deity, you can ask the questions, you can see what happens. And for me, I found that I was getting results. For me, it feels like there's several components to Hinduism. First, to me, it doesn't feel at all like it's a religion. It feels more like it's a science. You start to realize that everything that's going on out here, that you're seeing and you're experiencing, is exactly what's going on the inside.
Murtim Dvandvatitam Gagana Sarisham Tattvamasyadi Laksham.
Advocate Naushad Ahmed Khan, president of the Indian Young Lawyers Association that filed the PIL in the Sabrimala Ayyappan Temple case, and advocate Ravi Prakash Gupta are fighting a legal battle for the petitioners. They claim that rights of Hindu women have been trampled upon during the past 800 years, as the most visited pilgrimage site on the planet brought families together with Lord Ayyappan's blessings. Although the intentions of the petitioners are questionable, as they did not ask for entry of any Muslim women into the many mosques of India. Khan says I am being targeted as a Muslim lawyer when I have no say in the matter. Advocate Ravi Prakash Gupta says his hands are tied, but since the matter is sub judice, if they want to oppose it, they can intervene. He said earlier women were reluctant to visit Sabrimala temple because it required climbing a hill, and the temple should not practice gender-based discrimination, and that the oath of the 41 days celibacy taken by Ayyappa devotees does not constitute an essential practice of their Hindu faith. Somewhat surprisingly, he claims that the entry of women in Sabrimala temple is not part of the ceremony associated with the Hindu religion. He was even cited by one journalist as hinting that Sabrimala temple is actually a Buddhist temple.
He came from from abroad, I think so. So I don't know this is correct or not. And then he took the this oath of brahmacharya, like that. This has happened. I do not know much about it.
In Sabrimala there is a mosque. Is there?
Mosque is there because that what the council on behalf of the Devasam board has also mentioned that there is a mosque also. Mosque you can't remove. That is not because of your permission. You just try to remove one brick of it. The Muslims will not allow you. So that is not the reason that they have given by concession. Sabrimala people have given by concession. Could you, with great difficulty, this Babri Masjid you could destroy, but till today you cannot construct your own temple. So fighting with the Muslim is not an easy task.
An open letter to Sabrimala petitioner Naushed Ahmed Khan from a true Indian woman. In an open letter to Naushed Ahmed Khan, motivations for gender liberation and temple destruction is raised. Mr. Naushed Ahmed Khan, she writes, have you traveled in an airplane? There, while giving security instructions, they say fix your own safety mask first before helping others. I request you to fix women's rights problems in your own religion first before helping other religions. I am a Hindu woman from Kerala and I don't want to go to Sabrimala. You will find hundreds of thousands of us in Kerala and elsewhere. Highly educated professionals, writers, who will agree with me. Why? Because Kerala Hindu women have temples and festivals exclusively for themselves. Ours was a matriarchal society where only the women inherited. We have a temple where once a year the priests there will wash the feet of every woman devotee who comes there because a woman is the representation of the goddess. We have a temple where the priests are exclusively women. We have exclusively women's festivals and no men allowed in the vicinity. We have Pongala Puja, where lakhs and lakhs of women take part, and it is exclusively for women. Contrary to that, Sabrimala is the one place in Kerala which is exclusively for men. This is where our men go together. It's a male bonding thing like fathers, sons, brothers, uncles, grandfathers, all the male members in a family and community join together with friends. The whole community, irrespective of caste, wealth, creed, joins and includes the women. Yes, many of us keep fast with the men in our family. Also, women of young age and older ones above the age of 60 are allowed inside Sabrimala, which is never shown by the media. This is done because Lord Ayyappa was a brahmachari, which pseudo-secular morons fail to understand. These 40 days are a source of great joy and peace for us. In many homes, it is the only time of the year when men don't drink. No non-veg food. Everyone gets up early in the morning around 4 a.m., takes bath, does the puja, visits the nearest temple, and the family gets together. It brings the family members together. Our men don't do this by bonding through drinking, drugs, or whoring. Instead, it's through 40 days of detox. There is a bond not only in the family, but in the community. You go for bhajans in the evening. Again, the family goes together. The community gets together. Very important in this day and age when everyone is working, especially in Kerala. After 40 days, the men go to Sabrimala. sometimes taking their aged mothers with them and maybe the older children who have not yet started menstruating. We have been doing this for a long time, keeping our cultural ethos and values in mind while doing so. So requesting all the pseudo-secular people, media, and peaceful minority to mind their own business and work on women equality in their society, which is indeed in a shameful state. One of India's most controversial judges has retired. Chief Justice of India Deepak Mishra retired on October 2nd after a tumultuous year and presiding at the last minute over the Sabrimala Ayyappan temple ruling. The fatal fault for any judge is a perception that he or she is malleable to political influence. When this perception takes root, the authority of the judge as a person capable of superior moral reasoning crashes, and with it erodes the institution of the judiciary. Rajiv Malhotra comments, "Is the Supreme Court a breaking India force?" Rajiv Malhotra ji says Indian judges must learn basic Hindu cosmology.
There's a very important and urgent need for India's judiciary to get educated on Hindu cosmology, because if they are going to pass judgment on issues concerning temples and various Hindu practices, they should understand a lot more than they seem to at the present time. What is distinct about Hindu cosmology compared to all others is that the one divine, the one supreme person, some will call God or Lord, takes form, manifests in innumerable ways, an infinite variety of ways of coming and representing as a person in this world. So the deity, this is what we call deity, the murti in a temple that we go and worship is a living deity. This is a person sitting there and I'm having an interaction with him. It is not symbolic of somebody sitting in heaven. This is very different. The God in the Abrahamic religions remains outside the cosmos always. We can worship him, either sit in a mosque and worship him while he's out there. We can go to a church or a synagogue and worship him while he's out there. If we focus on a symbol, it's just a symbol. It's not that the God is there, but the symbol just to keep in mind who we're talking about. But in Hinduism, the cosmology says very clearly the divine is present in the cosmos. So we have a sacred murti, which means sacredness means divine presence. So when this, to bring about the divine presence, a certain process called pran pratishtha is carried out when the temple is installed, when the deity is installed. It's a piece of stone. Until there is pran pratishtha invites the deity to come and take this as their residence. So that particular deity starts living here. It is his or her home from this time onwards. Now each form, each deity has a distinct personality, a distinct lifestyle, a distinct set of habits, what they like, how they want to be approached. It's a male deity, it could be a female form, there are many male forms, there are many female forms, and each has its own character and its own persona and its own prescribed method for a person to have darshan. Darshan means I and the deity, we are having an interaction. It's like with a real person. That's what it is. In a church, you are not having darshan, you are praying to God who's somewhere else. In a mosque, you are not having darshan because Allah is not present there. Allah is present in heaven. So, for people to understand what happens in a temple, why it even exists, what is the purpose of darshan, and who are you doing darshan with, all I have just said is the minimum required knowledge that any judge, any court ought to have before they start tinkering around with our tradition. Who does the temple belong to? It doesn't belong to a state. It doesn't belong to anybody. Other than there are people who put it together to invite this deity to live there so they can have darshan. So it's between me as a devotee and the deity that I'm having darshan with. is between the two of us. If we say that I bring this fruit, well, then that's what we bring. If the deity has a prescribed method on certain days of the week, we do certain things, we eat or we don't eat, we go with certain clothes, we don't go in certain ways. Whatever are the do's and don'ts are specific to that deity, and we respect it and we honor it because that's our tradition. There is no one monoculture applicable to all the deities. There is a uniqueness for every deity. And if you don't understand this and you don't respect this, then you are actually insulting the whole Hindu faith. Each faith has its own specific requirements. And if you want to respect the faith, you have to respect it on its own terms rather than projecting your idea of what is right. Because it is not the faith of this judge, it is the faith of the people who worship there. And the judge has to be honest enough, not so arrogant, humble enough to set aside his own ideas of faith and to judge what is going on according to the faith of the people who are involved. It is their investment. For hundreds of years, they've been donating. They are keeping up this temple. It is their deity and their right to worship the way they are prescribed according to the agamas and according to their tradition. Therefore, it's a serious violation of religious freedom to treat such a temple as a secular place, as a place of just history. It's not a place of history or a museum. That's a dead place which has no living deity. It's somebody's home. It's somebody's place of residence. Somebody we worship. So you cannot remove that sacred element and treat it like some place that is just a carving or a statue and has some nice paintings. It is not a tamasha. It is not a tourist spot. It is not for entertainment. I think this is a very important message that I hope the Indian judiciary will understand. They should invite either the Akhada Parishad or the Hindu Dharmacharya Sabha to give them a tutorial on this, or some modern guru like maybe Art of Living can come, or Chinmaya Mission or somebody, or ISKCON, some important spiritual Hindu organization, preferably one involved in bhakti, should come and give them a kind of a tutorial. And I'm surprised when arrogant judges pass judgment without expert opinion of important gurus, acharyas, subject matter experts. They could have called some Shankaracharya. And so my request is that the Indian judiciary should get its act together, should understand the separation of religion from state and not interfere in the religious lives of Hindus. But Hindus have not opposed, not resisted this kind of intervention for a very long time, and I think it's time we did so. Namaste to all of you.
We'd like to end today's Hinduism Now capsule with a fundamental principle of inquiry in Hinduism. Athatho Brahma Jignasa. Let us now inquire into the ultimate truth.